the marks, so that would be perfect.
All right.
So we'll get started and and Rebecca, or Becky, excuse me, is our new ACES member, for those of you who weren't here earlier. So what we do is we just call roll as one of the first steps. So, and your name happens to be first. So Becky Ho.
Here.
Eileen Flynn.
Here.
James Zarsky.
Here.
Essie Snell.
Here.
Lisa Skumotz. Jonathan Koffler.
Here.
Mike Henshin. Okay. Oops, and Caitlin Stafford. I'm here.
The suspense builds. Got some good news and bad news.
Yeah. You're taking notes, but you've been kicked out.
All right. So I know hopefully Mike will be coming soon, and he had asked that we add an agenda item to discuss the suggestions on the Town Superior Sustainability Scorecard.
I would propose that we add that to the 2020 work plan discussion that's already on the agenda.
Can we do that since it's not, is it related enough?
It is, because that was part of what we worked on for our work plan in 2019. So as
okay,
we move
cool.
forward, that would be our opportunity. So then, just so that we don't have to make adjustments because we're learning the new system.
Fair enough.
So we wanted to find a way to attach it somewhere. So.
Okay, so as long as that's okay, then
yes.
Yeah, I guess all in favor of approving the agenda as currently written.
Yes.
Yep. Cool.
Everyone, so unanimous.
All right. Yep. All right. So we have time for public comment. If we have any.
I'm just here for the Excel Energy project.
Okay. Excellent.
So she's on the agenda.
Yeah. And did you have public comment as well?
Oh, sorry.
No worries.
I'm sorry.
No problem at all.
Okay. I'm Austin Todd from the Summit at Rock Creek, Unit 256. Okay, I'm here to ask about, hopefully you guys can help me and support me with this. There is no convenient way for everyone in town to compost all year long. Their kitchen scraps and food scraps. And on top of it, there's nothing conducive for small households to be able to do it all year long. I'm sorry, the original thing, all the homes through the winter, I mean, they're not able to do anything with kitchen scraps. Obviously, they can use kitchen scraps and yard waste if they get the extra add-on element to, is it Waste Connections, I think? So I brought this up a few years ago, 3 or 4 years ago, and at one of these meetings, and I asked a few questions, nothing really happened. Hopefully you guys can help me today. So I was going to let you know real quick. So most of the large towns around here offer some sort of composting. I have Netherland has a drop-off center for food scraps and yard waste. Louisville and Lafayette require composting with their trash service. Longmont offers a curbside composting for a small added fee that they've started recently, and obviously City of Boulder requires, first off, all businesses and property managers like HOAs and stuff to have composting, and then the residents themselves can add composting to their whatever waste service they have chosen there. For us in Superior, the only place I've found that I can compost my food scraps, kitchen waste, would be at the Charm facility. I'm guessing you are all familiar with that. And I'll tell you honestly, recently because I live alone in a townhouse, I create very little It takes me like a month to create a 5-gallon bucket of scraps. So what I've ended up doing is whenever I have an appointment or something in Boulder, I take whatever I have for the day in, and then I find some businesses composting and dump it in there. Most of the time they're like empty to only half full to begin with. So currently you're all aware of the April through October composting service that you can add with Waste Connections. That's about $120 per season. And here we have the composting drop-off, but that's for yard waste only. Yeah, so the services that I've figured out that are unavailable is, once again, during the winter, all of the houses have no option for any type of composting. Well, unless if they drive to the drop-off center. I'm mainly talking about kitchen waste. As I mentioned earlier, besides the whole town during the winter not having the option for kitchen waste, it's also the service we do have during the summer does not work very well for like myself, people who live in HOAs, patio homes, the apartments. I don't know how this connects to the Bell apartments or not, but I posted a question on Facebook just to see what other people might thoughts about composting and what they do. There was 1 or 2 people that responded saying they lived in a very small, the same circumstance as me, a very small household, and it wasn't worth their time to order the big can. Of course, you realize if all those HOAs or all the townhomes, we produce no yard waste, obviously. And on top of it, we already have 2 large or fairly large-sized dumpsters inside. We have to keep it inside our garage. We have no option hiding it outside or anything. So adding a third, 50-gallon one is kind of ridiculous. So from the Facebook thing, I was just going to mention real quick, a couple people commented that they compost their kitchen scraps in their garden all year long. And then there was one person who actually told me during the summer she has the composting service for her curbside composting. And during the winter, she keeps the scraps in her freezer until it starts again, the curbside composting. So, and I looked into this. So if you're not aware, like there's composting in the bathrooms here, probably in the offices and so forth. I called the city and asked them, how are you getting this composting? And they finally told me they're contracting with EcoCycle separately as a business to come in and do a specific service along with the rest of their waste service. So I was hoping they had some secret way that we could latch onto, but that's not possible. And that's what I'm here to ask for is, I would be very happy with just being able to drop off kitchen waste at the the yard drop-off place we have. And actually, a council member asked the city about that earlier, like at the beginning of this year, and she got the response that there's not enough room for it from somebody in the town. And if you guys aren't familiar, there's like 3 gigantic roll-off dumpsters there. In one corner, they keep the recycled mulch that's available for people to pick up. And there's like a small stand for, I think, collecting oil. But there, I mean, nothing larger than like a small dumpster you'd find behind a business, I would think would suffice the town for a month or something. And that obviously can just fit in a 10 by 10 area in the corner. And then if possible, I mean, I'd like to see the entire town work on this. So if possible, look into adding curbside composting at least all year around and the smaller size. And that's all I have.
Thank you so much. We appreciate it.
Okay, great, thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
And I guess just to say, like, composting is something that this committee has been looking at this year, and it's something that is top of mind for us. We definitely, all of us, feel the same pain of the limitations of the current options. And there are some, things that we look at with different waste contracts. So it's something that we're trying to keep top of mind and would hope to have some options. So.
Once again, seems like an easy fix would be contracting with EcoCycle to pick up once a month at a drop-off in the yard waste drop-off spot. I mean, I'd love that. That'd be perfect.
Yeah.
I walk my dog and drive down there and drop it off.
Yeah, I think that's definitely worth consideration.
Yeah.
And it's good timing with we're talking about the work plan for next year tonight, so it's perfect timing on that front.
Yeah, thank you.
And
Thank you very much.
yeah, thanks so much.
Actually, I have a question for you before you leave. I don't know if multifamily was on our radar for this, but I know
Yeah.
like Saddlebrook has its own trash pickup services. There's a maintenance guy that picks up the trash and the recycling, and I think Saddlebrook contracts that directly with the provider. Do you know if the Summit has its own internal trash, or is the town trucks going through that area?
Connected to the Master Rock Creek HOA contract.
You are? Okay, I didn't know that. Okay.
I don't know about, obviously.
I know Saddlebrook isn't, and then I don't know about,
I don't know what all these.
I call it Horizons, but it's the Bell.
Bell.
Yeah, I don't know if Bell has the same setup either.
I think I looked around a little bit and thinking they might have the dumpster for composting. I couldn't find anything.
Okay.
So I'm pretty sure they just don't do anything.
Yeah.
Does anybody know when the master HOA contract with the waste service gets renewed?
That would be an HOA meeting conversation, and that's one of the challenges, honestly, is that the town has a contract, Rock Creek has a contract, Bell Flatirons, Saddlebrook, everybody kind of has their own thing rather than a cohesive Town of Superior program.
Right.
So
No, I
what we can impact at the town level is limited.
Yeah, which has been one of the big challenges to date, so.
Unless we pass a law.
Yeah.
And that's something that we've talked with Trustee Lish about, is better communication with the HOAs of what the town's priorities are and how they can support that. So
Okay.
we will continue to work on it.
All right.
Yeah.
Great. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks so much. All right, so moving on to the new business and updates. We have the update on Partners in Energy, and Dana's here to talk to us.
Sure, I think I was a little bit here more just to answer any questions that you
I see.
might have, and I went ahead and printed out a couple of them.
Yeah, and I have them all up on the.
Yeah, go ahead and pull these up.
If you want to pull those
Yeah,
up.
so here's just a
The
couple of
third
the,
one.
I didn't print, sorry, I didn't print
Okay,
out.
thanks.
So you guys can share.
Oh, wait,
That's all right.
thank you.
It's the same as up there.
Yeah, so I'll just put some context around it, that the Partners in Energy program's been moving forward. Lisa's been taking the kind of lead on that, and has been having a number of good conversations with Excel. And she's also been working on sort of this pilot, which is what some of this information is about, in order to learn more about how we can do effective outreach in the community. and hopefully help, drive some energy improvements from that perspective. So that's sort of the overarching context. I don't know if there's additional information you want to provide.
So what I did is
And actually, I'm sorry, if you could just stand in front of the microphone. I'm sorry. It's always easy to forget.
I just piled in and sat there, so I forget you have to do this now.
Yeah.
So what I did is I compiled 3 routes, taking a look at, I looked at the census information, and then I compiled approximate home sizes as far as density and the square footage of the homes. And so they're not all necessarily contiguous, because there is some areas that have a much higher concentration of very large or very small homes. So that's, I think it's probably in the next couple of pages on here. Yeah, so, and those are examples of some of the home sizes. And so we really wanted to try and make sure that we were getting homes that were, had the right mix of homes, or a fairly similar mix of homes, so that there is going to be the control route. And then there's going to be the route that's going to have a certain amount of outreach and education. And then there's going to be another one that's actually going to have door-to-door. And so we want to make sure that they're all fairly similar. And when we did speak with Excel, they said that they can't give us necessarily month-to-month data on all of the homes. I did also provide GIS data for them as well, so they could take a look at the homes. But we will be getting information back. I don't think it's every 6 months, something like that, but it won't be month to month, but it'll be a little bit further along into the project when we start getting any sort of feedback on energy usage for that. So that was mostly what's been going on so far, and I think 1 or 2 calls with Excel.
Could you clarify what solutions are being promoted to these homeowners? Is it just about behavior for energy efficiency, specific upgrades, or specific programs, or?
Yeah, I'm not quite sure that we've necessarily gotten the outreach, or I assume that's something that the committee is going to be working on, right? Is that correct?
I mean, it's largely sort of behavior change type materials, kind of going above and beyond the current Excel offerings to try and provide education to residents and see if that can drive changes in behavior.
And is it going to be, are we thinking the materials are going to focus on like Excel's current programs and options of like the smart thermostat program or things like that, or kind of outside of Excel into more general like energy efficiency?
I mean, I think it's going to be, and feel free to correct me if I'm wrong, my understanding is it's going to be primarily kind of educational focused. So probably including some information on Excel's programs as well, but sort of like, with behavior norming and those types of things, and looking at different ways to try to drive awareness of energy consumption, and then also help make it easy for individuals to save energy. So kind of a mix of things rather than just focusing on like a list of rebates or something like that.
Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't print out the proposal, but typically when we do some sort of behavior change, we usually have, if we're doing a social marketing project, we'll usually have some sort of a prompt or some sort of a behavior that we would be asking residents to do. So I'm sorry I didn't print out the proposal, but I assume that we're going to be also giving suggestions on simple things that they can do, not necessarily having to go to a program. That was what I was thinking.
I believe so. Yeah.
So
I think it's going to be a mix.
We've done some other projects on social marketing, and that had both recycling and energy usage. And we would ask them really simple things like, thinking about time of use activities when they're doing their laundry, or, putting a recycle bin in your bathroom and seeing how much more materials you collect, different things like that in the actual activities. So those are usually pretty important parts of behavioral change type programs. So I'm thinking that that's what it's going to be part of that. So.
And just for clarification as well, so this is one part of the Partners in Energy initiative, but there's also going to be additional things around like getting additional information around EV charging and leveraging some of Excel's knowledge around that, and some other facets too. So yeah, it's kind of a multifaceted approach.
Yeah. do you
Well,
think there was also something about businesses? Does anybody recall that? I'm just thinking off the top of my head from about the number of businesses, and I'm not sure if you all had decided to go that route or not, as far as doing the outreach to businesses as well.
Yeah, so we have a green business program. I think what I had heard Lisa talk about on some of the calls was seeing if we can get more detailed data from Excel on energy consumption for the businesses within Superior. And the challenge is trying to make it so it's still anonymous, so we can't pinpoint exactly which businesses are using how much energy. And so if we can get anonymized data based on groups of buildings, then we can put together an additional program to see if we can change energy consumption behaviorally in the business side, but it's unclear at this point, at least from what I've heard, if we can get that data. So that's sort of TBD.
Yeah, for the residential customer outreach, it sounds like the specific design of that outreach is maybe still to be determined. So
Yeah.
when it comes time to develop that, I'd love the opportunity to provide input into what that content is.
Yeah, absolutely.
Could be a lot of overlap with your scorecard.
Yeah, could be overlap with other things. So would love to be able to see it and compare it to other things we're doing.
Absolutely.
It's my understanding that it's a committee project, right? That you will probably. I haven't seen any sort of any outreach specifically that addresses the questions or information that we're going to be presenting. So I would assume that that's something the committee is going to be definitely having input and creative input on.
Do we have a timeline on when this starts?
I don't know exactly. I mean, we're officially part of the Partners in Energy program now.
Yeah.
So I know Lisa's been working with Excel and talking with them to see what data we can get.
Okay.
And then you've been doing a lot of this work too to try and figure out sort of the initial first steps. And then my understanding is that Lisa was going to come back to the committee as well once we can start actually figuring out what sort of outreach we want to do, what information is available and all that. So we can have more of a collective discussion about what we want to do going forward. So that's my understanding.
So I had on the call with them a week or two ago, we had given all the information, excuse me, the address information, and I think they needed a week or two to kind of pull that together. So really it should be any time that we can start moving forward, and definitely crafting the outreach that we want is something that can, that can be any time. So, and the sooner probably the better. Well, it was my understanding that we wanted to have this done before the end of the year, at least to get going on this, right? So, in order to have time to get the information printed out and, postcards, if we're doing that route, any of that sort of stuff, it's probably a good idea to start pulling together sooner rather than later the outreach materials.
So in that case, since we just have one more meeting before the end of the year, I guess I'll follow up with Lisa too and see how much we can do via email for the group as a whole. But it'd be nice to have a collective conversation at the next meeting as well. So,
Which the next meeting is a dinner meeting. So can we have?
Yeah, good point.
Can we have an official discussion about it? Maybe look at sample materials if we've developed them between now and then.
Yeah, absolutely. You mean at the December dinner meeting?
Yeah.
Certainly. We'll post that meeting because there'll be, 3 or more people attending that. And so we can put, last year we did put together a little bit of an agenda that we posted.
A light agenda.
Yeah, we didn't really stick to it or anything, but definitely that can be discussed and worked on at that dinner meeting.
Okay. I have a little bit more concrete agenda this time.
Okay, so you and Lisa can talk about that, and then via email between now and the December meeting, we can go maybe work on developing some draft materials and discuss in December.
Yeah. And I've only been on one call so far with Excel folks. So, yeah, Lisa's been really hand driving it. So.
Yep, and just any communication that you do via email, just make sure you're using that ACES group email.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, thank you.
Cool.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, thanks so much for coming.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, definitely appreciate it.
No problem. Thanks.
All right. So put an item on for the fall leaf collection program. Do we have any updates on that? Or how it
I
went?
do, and I'll be brief because I know we have a lot to get through here. But so I spoke with the Girl Scouts service unit. They had their monthly meeting this past weekend, and Jonna Kramer, who ran it, she said that she felt that it went really well, considering it was the first year. And I guess they only had 7 households participate, but they thought that was great, actually, for the first year. They had 7 Girl Scouts that assisted, and she said it was quick. It only took them about 20 minutes to collect everything, and they did have a suggested donation of $10 to $20 per household, and I guess some households didn't have any bags out, and one had 20 bags. So there was quite a variety there. I think that they would like to do it again next year. They're interested in doing it again. They might do something where they have like 2 different pickup dates, just in case of weather, or just to give people some more options. They might try to piggyback off of, I guess El Dorado does a fall leaf raking fundraiser. So they do a trip to DC. So I guess they do that. They rake the leaves, but they don't collect them and take them to yard waste. So the Girl Scouts might be able to somehow pair up with them on that. And in that case, it would be like hundreds of households, because I guess that fundraiser is quite big. For next year, they were maybe hoping that the town could do just an e-blast focusing on just that event, so it doesn't get buried in the newsletter. They might do door-to-door flyers.
Yeah, I think in one of the things I saw about it, it said like limited to the first 25 households. So I was like, oh, I don't want to sign up because I want to make sure there's like spaces for other people.
Yeah.
So I don't know if maybe like taking that off and then just putting people on a wait list, like the first 25 are guaranteed.
Yeah, or I didn't know if there was a way, like I know they had a Google sign up, but I don't know if there's a way to block it after a certain number of registrations. I would think maybe that they could do that. But yeah, they didn't get anywhere near the 25. And then the only question they had was about the yard waste bags, and I don't know, Karen, do you know if anybody picked them up from Land Rover?
We had 2 residents come in and pick up bags.
Okay.
So yeah.
All right, so are there some left over?
Yes, we have 1.
Okay, and that was another thing, is it was like only households who are signed up can pick up the leaf bags.
Right.
So I was like, okay.
Because we only purchased, I want to say we purchased 100 or something
I
like
think it was
that.
100.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Okay, and I guess they would, I mean, they said if we'd be willing to do that again and have, make bags available, that would be great. But it doesn't really sound like we would need to do more than 100, but I don't know, hopefully they get a lot more signups next year.
Yeah.
So, yeah, but they definitely would like to do it again next year. So
Great.
I thought that was great.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I was actually one of the parents that helped my daughter out at that. So I was watching them do the work, and 2 additional comments was, I think we wanted to maybe coordinate with the town on making sure the dumpsters are empty when we get out there, because they were actually quite full by the time we were dumping these bags. And luckily we only had 7 households, but all the dumpsters are full. And so I think that's.
Can I just?
Yeah, go ahead.
There's, so I know that they picked a Sunday.
Yes.
And they did contact the yard waste site about that. And they said, if you do it on Saturday, we can make sure they're emptied, but if you do a Sunday, that's not gonna, if they're full.
That's the background on that. Okay.
And I think that they were worried that they wanted to give people time to rake the leaves on a Saturday and put them out on a Sunday. So, but that is something they're gonna have to figure out for next year.
Coordinate on
Especially if
that.
there's gonna be more households participating. Maybe a Saturday would be better.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then the only minor thing is that the stickers were on the bags, and the stickers are plastic
Oh.
and not compostable.
Oh.
And so I think we got to keep in mind things like that
Stickers on the bags that we
on
purchased.
the
I
paper
think
bags.
they did put stickers on the bag this year.
They did, to
So-
kind of say how much.
Yeah.
Oh, the
But I
Girl
don't know
Scouts
that.
did.
I think the Girl Scouts.
I mean,
did. talked to
I would
Shauna
assume you
about
could
that.
peel it off, but I don't know how many people actually use those bags
Yeah.
with the sticker on them.
But
But yeah,
that was one
that's
thing.
good to consider.
Yeah.
And then it opened up the bigger question I had was just signage at the yard waste facility about no plastic bags allowed. Because I do see plastic bags in those bins full of leaves. And I don't know if we need to put like billboard size font, no plastic bags, as you're walking in,
Plans
flashing. It might be
we're glad
buried in some of the
you're here,
signs there,
bud.
but it wasn't obvious to me. And I don't know if that's just something the town has thought about.
Is that a recommendation we can share with town staff?
Yes.
Cool.
Yeah. Anyways, but yeah, it was fun.
Excellent. Thanks. And so finally, the Green Business Program. I don't know if there are additional updates you want to share on that, or?
I have not heard from Matt, but typically we are closing applications for 2019, like in January, February of 2020. So we'll still have some time for people to apply. So as you are out and about in Superior over the next 6 weeks, just noting to businesses that it's an option and sharing information would be helpful. I know that we do have a new business in town that has applied and is working with PACE. They do like SUV rentals for people doing like outdoor activities. So it's a new business in Superior that is participating. So, and I think all of last year's are also renewing. So we will continue to work on that.
Excellent, thanks. All right, so on to discussion items. So first is about, originally we put on discussing creating a recommendation to the board, encouraging the developer to include EV charging in downtown Superior. Is that still something that's relevant to discuss tonight, or?
So yeah, so background on this, when I talked to the town manager and what prompted the email that I sent to the group was that if ACES was going to try to get a recommendation into the board packet so that it could be formally considered and discussed, that way the developer could see it and respond to it as well. That needed to be done by Monday. However, when we had that conversation, the idea was that it was still possible that we could finish this entire development review and public hearing within a single meeting. We know that's not going to, I'll say 99% sure, we know it's not going to occur. The Planning Commission hasn't yet sent us a final recommendation yet. So on Monday, we likely as a board won't skip them and approve anything. So we know it's in all likelihood going to go to a second meeting. So tonight, if you do discuss this and want to make a recommendation, it won't make this Monday's board packet because that's already been issued, but it will make it into this board packet for our next meeting.
Okay.
So still relevant.
Excellent. That's good.
Long-winded.
So yeah, I guess I think it'd be great to encourage EV charging. Are there other issues as well that we want to recommend that the developer consider beyond just EV charging as well?
Well, I think we can make, excuse me, I think we can make a specific recommendation about the EV charging instead of just generically saying EV charging is good. We can say that too, but we can, well, as I understand the nature of this recommendation, it's our recommendation to the board, and then what the board would do with it, if they feel so moved, is to just basically sort of unofficially encourage the developer to include EV charging or whatever we recommend in their site. There's no formal requirement that we're foreseeing through this type of recommendation, and we would just. We would encourage the board to sort of voice their support in general terms about EV charging. Is that
not
consistent with your understanding, or?
Not necessarily. So even though it's not part of the code, so the code can't force it, if you put forth this recommendation, the majority of the board agrees with you and feels strongly enough, we can condition the approval of the FDP to include electric vehicle charging infrastructure. So we can enforce it. The developer will likely have to still say yes to it and agree to that condition. They could just walk away if they want to. I can't say if they would or would not do that, but if I were a betting man, I'd say they probably wouldn't. But it's just getting the rest of the board on board with that recommendation to make it a condition.
Okay. I mean, I observed, or I watched the video of the prior meeting where you talked about EV charging, and I heard a mixed reaction from the board about EV charging. That was in the building code in that context. So my impression or my sense is that there's certainly a willingness to encourage it, but that requiring it within this development would, at minimum, would take more time and more convincing to do. That was my impression from watching that video. So my inclination would be to make a recommendation that's doesn't necessarily go so far as to condition the approval on EV charging, but open to other people's reactions.
And your recommendation doesn't have to be board, we recommend that you condition approval. You just say we recommend that you work with the developer to include electric vehicle charging infrastructure or something along that lines. And then, I mean, it's something that I've got in my notes already. So something I'll be asking during my questions about. Frankly, I don't know if there actually is any electric vehicle charging infrastructure already included in this. That's my tomorrow project to go through all this. There might already be some, but if there's not, that's when we'll hear first just pose a friendly question to the developer. Is this something you could include? And then if the answer is no, that's when I would look to the rest of the board and see if there's support for a condition. But I don't know if you guys need to go that far to say condition it within your recommendation.
Okay, understood. We appreciate that input. I think that my recommendation for at least what to include is certainly to encourage it, electric vehicle charging in general, but specifically to encourage the high-speed electric vehicle charging. And I would be happy to type notes about specific requirements we would hope to see around that. And partially the rationale for that is I heard, I believe it was the mayor's comments on that prior board meeting, expressing some skepticism about the need for more electric vehicle charging because there already is a lot of it around town. And we could maybe expand upon the value of the high-speed charging in particular, the most modern and advanced technology, how it works with the newest cars, how it could attract more travelers to stop and spend time in the business district and spend their money in these businesses and things like that, which might be, would go farther for us than just say we encourage you to add electric vehicle charging.
For a recommendation, can we include additional supplemental information along those lines, or is it just sort of like we could have the recommendation and then separately we could share additional supporting evidence around why, EV charging is valuable? Do you have an idea of the best approach?
Whichever you guys prefer. I've seen it done both ways.
Okay.
I've seen recommendations come through that are quick, succinct, maybe one or two sentences. And then I've seen some recommendations that are like half a page long and do just what was described, where you've got maybe an overarching recommendation and then supporting bullet points under that to help the board understand.
So I guess my other question would be, do we need to finalize a recommendation tonight? I know in your email you had mentioned that as long as the chair or vice chair sends that out on behalf of ACES, that's okay. But I also don't want to set up a situation where people on ACES feel awkward about not participating.
Yeah, I think that was okay before when we were trying to get it into this.
Yeah.
current
Gotcha, okay.
packet. Because we're here in a public meeting, it would be best to make.
That was my guess, but just wanted to confirm. Okay. Well, my suggestion in that case would be that we have a kind of general official recommendation tonight. And then if you want to write up some additional supporting information, then I'd be happy to send that to the board as well on behalf of the committee to kind of bolster our recommendation further. If that sounds like an okay plan to everyone.
The one thing I think I added at the last meeting was seeing if the town would be willing to buy and install those chargers or the infrastructure like they have at Community Park and here, and what the temperature is. Right now, where you're saying likely the developer, even if the board recommends it and supports it, could say no, and that's that. But what about the town at their expense doing it?
That would be a conversation that is certainly worth having, but it wouldn't happen at this upcoming meeting. Because if it was the town doing it, it'd be outside the confines of the development plan that would be up for approval. If the development plan goes forward and it doesn't include anything, that's when I think the town could come forth and ask. I honestly, I actually don't even know if that's truly the best path. I haven't seen a scenario where the town is, a developer has said no, but the town has then said, let's use our own funds to put something in. So I suppose that is entirely possible that we could include that, and it would almost be an allowance that the town could decide to kick in and the developer would install it. And that could be decided during this type of a meeting, but I've never seen that decision made in the meeting.
Now, I assume something like that would have to be on the town's property, right?
Yeah.
Like maybe on this, like a sidewalk charger or something just off the street, because I assume most of it's all privately owned at this point, right? Almost.
Yeah, it would have to be within the right of way, the town's right of way.
Yeah.
And again, I haven't actually had a chance to dig into the FTP materials in detail yet. They're about that thick. Yeah, from what I have gleaned, I think most of this is actually being held privately. I don't know that any of it's actually being dedicated as a public right of way. So I don't even know if that really would be an option.
So it could be a moot point.
Yeah. But these are all my best guess answers right now.
Okay.
All right, well, would the committee like to draft a recommendation to the board?
Yeah, so you said something like overarching that we could say like ACES recommends the developer include high-speed EV charging stations in their plans. And then we could provide some additional context as follow-up via email. Is that, okay.
Maybe what you could do is have a recommendation that is quick and succinct. And I mean, Mike, if you've got ideas for what you would want as your support, if you can give a quick overview of them, then they could just be included in the
Summarize,
notes and then get wrapped up together in what could go to the board, in the board packet.
Yeah, because we have an opportunity to amend notes before they go on. I mean, that's, what Essie and Caitlin and I do before they go on to the board. So as long as we have the discussion here of what you would like to include, then we can definitely, include that.
So something additional, like while there are existing EV charging stations in the town, this would provide.
Yeah, I'm thinking here. The points I would write some bullets about are emphasizing that it would bring the most modern technology to the town and also work with the newest generation of electric vehicles that manufacturers are putting out and, enable them to use their full capabilities. Secondly, that it would be a more, it would be kind of a more unique charging attraction, so to speak, for folks who are driving even, regionally, if they're driving, if you were driving from Colorado Springs to Estes Park in an electric car, you'd probably want to stop somewhere and get a fast charge. And so us being able to attract more folks into this business district will help with business revenues as well. And it would be a notable, because the faster technologies are more less deployed so far, it would be a more bring positive attention to the town's image in terms of being a sustainability leader. Those are the things I would emphasize.
One additional consideration might be that since the Tesla dealership will be so prominent in the town with its current position, that it might be a nice way of having the town help to support multiple brands of electric vehicles, because the charging facilities at the Tesla location will just be proprietary for Tesla only. And so being able to support multiple types of electric vehicles in the town rather than just Teslas would be nice.
Or the fast chargers, backward compatible.
Yeah, so, they're rated by the power they put out, which is in kilowatts, so, the like Chevy Bolt only goes up to 50, and if we got a super modern one, it was even like 200, you could still plug your Chevy Bolt into it, and it would just charge at the rate the car can accept. Yeah.
It won't blow up.
It won't blow up. Yeah.
And I think it's also worth noting that EV chargers really help meet a number of different sustainability goals that we have. So, certainly climate change, energy, and air quality are all simultaneously impacted by electric vehicles. And so it has the potential to really help support multiple of the town's stated goals.
I think that's a really good point, the emissions from the lesser emissions. Driving an electric car when you're sitting at a stoplight and you see all this exhaust spewing out of cars, you're like, wow.
Uh,
The board needs any numbers to go with what a fast charger needs, or just keeping things qualitative for now?
I think,
Okay.
I think qualitative is fine. I think
Okay.
I'm assuming none of you guys have actually looked at the plans for what's coming forward. Here, Ezzy, can I see
Not beyond the general?
Yeah, if we can go to the town website.
Oops, sorry. What's our?
SuperiorColorado.gov.
Okay, thank you.
And then
Super because I visit it all the time myself.
click on the I want to on the right side. And is this where we can view videos or
Which one are you looking for?
go into the agenda? I can quickly pull up. Yep, there we go. And then scroll down a little bit further and click on the agenda for the town board meeting.
The new one, yeah.
Yep.
Sorry.
And then let's scroll all the way down to the bottom and click on that very last link. Yep, that one. And scroll down probably 6 slides or so. Let's see.
Ta-da.
See if it catches up. Okay, there we go. So I'll go down one more, sorry. Okay, so this is a very generalized contextual map of what is going to come before us for review on Monday night. I don't have a pointer, but on the right side, that's the sports stable. You can see the roundabout area within the sports stable that's currently there. So So all this that's gonna be the plaza, the main area where there's gonna be functional stuff. Right here, this blue thing, that's gonna be Town Superior civic space, indoor civic space, 2 stories. And then the idea is that right now, this is gonna be commercial main floor, and then we have residents that are gonna be up here, apartments, and then townhomes and such down in this area. So my question to the committee would be, if you're going to make a recommendation, are you only focused on the commercial area? So we want charging stations where our commercial core is? Do we want to recommend charging within the apartment and townhome complexes as well? Do we want to do all of it? Because those are the types of pushback we'd hear from the developer and questions we might get.
And I think you want it in both, like, the commercial brings in that aspect of like, oh, people will stop in downtown Superior and have lunch while they're charging. But I think, obviously the residential is also important.
Yeah, I'd be weary of doing commercial only because you might find homeowners parking in the commercial parking spots to charge their cars, even though they're actually not bringing business to the commercial property owners. And I mean, frankly, I've witnessed even some of that community park, people dropping off the car to charge it, and someone takes them home in their gas car and their car later. It's just, I'm just saying, human nature is probably going to take effect there. So I think, so you're not pulling a magnet to one area or the other, people not parking in their respective areas that they're supposed to be in.
Yeah.
You probably want to distribute it evenly.
And I would say too that I think multifamily is a really important area to focus on in particular. I know some of the presentations I've seen in the past have highlighted that, there's a lot of sort of, tech professionals coming in and moving into the area, whether from Google or any of the other high-tech companies in the area. And so making sure that we have future-proofed multifamily buildings that can support electric vehicles will be really key in terms of making sure that downtown Superior is successful.
This is all stuff that would be great if you guys have in the bullets.
Yeah.
I'm getting it. Trying to type as quick as possible.
I mean, I've even seen frustration from multifamily inhabitants because the developer didn't put the infrastructure in place to even hook up a personal charger if they want to. They're running power lines all over the place to their dryer outlets and things like that just to charge their electrical cars. And yeah, I think if we're looking at attracting top talent and people that want to have electric cars and so forth, we need to have the infrastructure there. Yeah. I didn't realize there was going to be all this multifamily in there. So that, I think that pushes this issue even further to a higher priority.
And I didn't highlight, but on the north side up at the very top, that's where we'll actually abut the parks, the part that's covered by the black bar.
Sorry. Hopefully hit that.
The orange building, that's slated to be a restaurant, but you're going to have that parking lot that's just to the right where the red line curves. That's basically parking for what's envisioned to be a sports field and that sort of thing. So you've got that aspect of it as well. You've got the recreation side of things.
So I might suggest changing a recommendation a little bit and suggesting that we have at least level 3 or higher for both parking lots and commercial facilities, and then at least level 2 or higher available for all the multifamily buildings.
Okay.
Is that?
So for commercial and recreation, you said level 2 or higher?
Level 3.
Level 3, sorry.
Yeah, so that'll get us up to the kind of modern fast charging, the commercial spaces.
And you said residential?
Is it level 2 or higher?
Yeah.
Because a lot of the residents can plug in overnight, so it's not as vital to have a fast charger network.
I mean, even at a bare minimum, just a 120 outlet, next to people's garages.
Actually, that's true.
Would, because you can do slow charging overnight. Again, those of us that have lived in multifamily complexes, there's sometimes not even a plug outside.
Actually, so maybe that's the way to go, is just to recommend that at minimum there's a 120 volt plug available.
Which is level 1.
Yeah,
That's
so
a
level 1
charger.
Yeah, available to most of the parking facilities.
Yeah.
For residential?
Yeah, the residential areas.
I mean, I don't know, is this multifamily? Do you know if there's garages built into this?
There
or
are some garages.
Yeah,
It's like Saddlebrook where every unit has a garage, or is it going to be like
I
you
think
have to
it's
pay extra like
I think
Bell
it's
to get a garage?
central.
Is it like more like
garage.
Bell where there's central garages?
I think so.
the northern part, so all the white pieces that are in the northern half, I don't know if those are going to have garages. The big gray piece in the middle, that's just to the west of the plaza area, that gray piece is a parking garage that's going to go up multiple stories, and it's going to be wrapped around with apartments. So not every apartment is going to have their own garage, but there will be a big parking garage for those. I haven't looked at the plans detailed enough to know what's going to be on the upper north side.
Yeah, so I'd suggest that at least the level 1, just basic outlets, is really important to have, because if we don't include that as a bare minimum, then no one's going to be able to live in these multifamily units if they have an electric vehicle, which closes off a lot of opportunities for the town. So I think at least, having a 120 outlets that are kind of widespread throughout the various parking areas for the multifamily. And then, for commercial, I think at least level 3, so we have some high-speed fast charging as well.
Okay, so I will read,
Yell that.
I will read
Sorry.
my paragraph, and you guys can tell me what I'm missing.
All right.
The ACES board recommends the developer include high-speed EV charging stations in their plans for both the commercial and recreation areas at a level 3 or higher rating, and for the residential areas to level 2 or higher rating. At a minimum for residential, we recommend having 120-volt outlets in the parking areas. While there are existing EV charging stations in the town, this would bring the most modern technology to downtown Superior and provide a convenient option for both residents and visitors. For residents of downtown Superior, this could be an attraction to live in this community because of a focus on technology and sustainability. This could also bring additional visitors into the business district who are seeking a high-speed charge while traveling along the Highway 36 corridor, resulting in additional dollars spent in Superior while they are charging. While Tesla is a prominent business in Superior and has EV chargers at their property, by having universal high-speed chargers available, this would support multiple brands of vehicles, not just Teslas. EV chargers work to advance the sustainability goals of the town by reducing greenhouse gas emissions.
And improving air quality.
And improving,
And
okay.
Overall energy sustainability.
And there's, I'll wait until you're done.
Thank you.
You said level 3 or higher, but there's only level 3.
Okay.
Well, yeah, there is a.
For now.
There's shades of gray there.
Well, but level 3
But,
by definition is 480 volts. And
That's-
so there's new generations of level 3s coming out that can go faster. But
Yeah.
I haven't heard anything about 40 volts unless I'm
No, that's
uninformed there.
technically correct. I think it would be nice to include a note in there encouraging the most modern offerings, which are the highest power
Yeah,
ones. So there is some differentiation between the thing that's over by the sheriff's substation, which is already a 50 kilowatt thing, and then the higher ones, which are all technically level 3. But well, my suggestion is that sounds really good. Good work. I will. My suggestion is that we would have a vote on that with the acknowledgement that the specific language could be edited before it's sent onto the board, is what I understood we said. And since I typed up, your thing's really good, but you can incorporate pieces of mine if you'd like to, and I'll send it through the email, through the ACES email list as well. So, wait, are there any other additions to what we had?
The only other thing I would add, because I think that's all
Okay.
great, is just to emphasize, have like a sentence in there about the fact that if 120-volt outlets aren't included in the parking, then that will potentially significantly limit the ability of like tech-savvy EV owners to move into these facilities and potentially limit the town's long-term success. For the multifamily buildings, yeah.
Now you're getting
that.
threatening.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I mean, I think it's an opportunity cost though, so it's a risk if we don't install these things.
I mean,
think
even,
it's worth politely noting that.
I mean, even e-bikes, I bike the 36 bike path, and I see quite a bit of e-bikes on the 36 bike path, so even the place to charge those without trying to drag that up into a multifamily building is another thing that, I mean, those are getting popular as time goes on. Now I get the metering can get complicated here. If you have a bank of outlets in a parking garage, who's going to pay for people to plug in? And that could be pushback you could get, but I gotta imagine there's a modern solution around that too.
Yeah, with multifamily, I'm sure, so most multifamily properties, you pay extra for your parking space.
Yeah.
They just build that into their cost of
Yeah.
their parking spaces. And so it may cost an extra $20, $30, $40 a month
That
for
could be a
parking,
way to get
but
around
that is a
that.
way that they can recoup some of the costs.
And I think too, we're just suggesting this is minimum, so
Yeah.
if they want to have a more sophisticated charging system that enables better, accounting and
Yeah.
charging, that's certainly up to them, but this would be sort of their minimum.
Cool.
Okay, so we need to vote to approve the recommendation with the option to edit prior to submitting officially to the board?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'll make that motion that we approve this recommendation to the town board that Caitlin has read out as we read the amendments, and we approve
Seconded? Or seconded?
the chair and Izzy, Caitlin, and Karen to finalize the language, editing if needed later.
Sounds good. Seconded? All in favor?
Yes.
Yes.
Excellent. That's unanimous. I know we've got a lot more on the agenda too, but I also wanted to ask if we want to do an additional recommendation around encouraging just general sustainable building for the developer. I know that a lot of the buildings going in are going to be focused on sustainability, but is that something that's worth just a general recommendation to make sure that it's still top of mind? It would be sort of vague, so I don't know if that's super valuable.
I don't know how helpful that is.
All right.
But
Actually, it's probably in this presentation. If you, I think it's down. Try scrolling down. Let's keep going a little bit further. Keep going. Let's see, did they put it in? Doesn't look like they have it in. No. So I know that the bottom townhome area of the map that we were looking at is being conducted or is being built by Remington, and that they specifically have discussed meeting efficiency standards and working that into their construction. I do not know about the rest.
I had glanced through like their proposal several months ago when they had just the design one, and I'm pretty sure it said something about LEED certification on
I feel like that's
the
a focus.
buildings. So,
Yeah. Okay.
I think that in general that I would say maybe something more of the like whoever's going to be managing the multifamily, talking to them about waste contracts and things like that would be probably more relevant.
Is that something we need to make a recommendation about now, or can we deal with waste contracts at a later date? I have no idea how that stuff works, so.
So the metro districts, I believe, are the ones that are responsible for the waste management in downtown Superior. I don't think that one's handled by the town.
So the Downtown Superior is a part of our waste
It
contract.
is?
Yes, I talked with Matt about that today.
Okay.
So if we look at our overall waste contract, we could,
Yeah.
perfect.
Yeah, all right.
Yep.
Well,
Okay.
I do have a comment. It looks like the town of Superior is under the 2012 IECC, which is the International Energy Conservation Code. When does the latest version now is 2018? So who drives, I know since we're a home rule state, you gotta do that on a town by town level. Who drives pushing these codes up, and when does that happen?
Well, yeah, we did that once before.
Yeah.
Or we recommended it to the board who adopted. To go from, I
We
believe,
did?
to go from
Yeah.
2012 to 2015.
Yeah,
So that's
I think
our-
we're on 2015.
Oh, well, I'm just looking at the town website right now.
It may not have been updated.
For reference, we created an official recommendation to do that, and the town board basically said no at the time, and then immediately there was sort of a process in place behind the scenes to update the codes anyway, because all the codes get updated on a regular basis. And so it happened anyway, but there was pushback from the town board at that particular point, so it was sort of an awkward situation where they said no, and then it happened anyway. So it was a good result, but yeah, and I don't know what the current board's reception of that would be like, but just for context.
That was the prior board that
Yeah, exactly,
Yeah.
yeah, not the current board. Yeah.
Do we need to, I mean,
I don't know if the website just needs to be updated to show that we're on 2015.
do you know that for a fact, or?
We
Yeah.
did it in 2016.
And so they did adopt it.
Is when we
Yeah.
got them
So this is
to,
before I joined. Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, so we should be on
2015.
2015, I
Yeah.
believe.
So I guess that's where I was going with this is, designing around the most current codes. So
Yeah.
that's,
Mhm.
that's pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, so there is a process that just happens administratively through the town to update on a regular
Yeah.
basis.
I guess maybe that's the comment, making sure the town website's correct.
Yeah, so if you could send me whatever page that is, just send me that link or wherever you're at, and then I will double check that tomorrow.
Okay. Cool. Thanks.
Does that cover things like R value for walls and
Yep.
attics and spaces?
Yeah, the energy code basically defines, minimum values for the building envelope, lighting power densities, HVAC system types and efficiencies and so forth.
All right. We can move on to the waste contract solicitation.
Do we have it?
is there-
So this is basically.
Sorry.
Just the committee providing input on the town's waste contract solicitation, which will happen next year, because we're up for renewal on that. And so when I spoke with the town manager today, basically it was just any sort of enhancements, upgrades, anything that the committee would like to see. I mean, what the gentleman brought up earlier in public comment definitely can be included. And this is something that can happen via discussion here. It can then be finalized at future meetings.
Okay.
And it's all happening next year, so this is our first step in the process. And so, but we just want to make sure we get the committee's recommendation.
Okay. I think, to the conversation earlier, it'd be great to have a bit more robust composting option. I mean, pretty much all the areas around us have different composting options available to residents, and we can't just have the really expensive one that only works for half the year. So it'd be great to have more of a flexible solution that works better for residents.
So, and any sort of information that you can put together with supporting documentation, if you found other waste contracts of other municipalities in the surrounding area, and there's something that you like, if you can tag that, attach that to an email, you'll get that to myself or to Ken, then we can make sure that gets to the town board for that process.
Sure.
But this would just be for original town, right? And Stockton.
Right.
So
I
Does
believe so, right?
it count, does it include what Sagamore?
Yep, so I have
can't
that
remember
up
if I
here.
got one. I think it does.
If I can find it. Because now I've gone away from it.
And will it apply to the downtown as well? Is that
Yeah, so it does,
Okay.
it does apply to downtown.
eventually?
Let me see. I just keep going back. Just pull it up again.
I think I got it. It is Original Town, Coal Creek Crossing, Downtown Superior, Sagamore, and Calmonte.
Perfect.
Okay.
Huh, did not know that Calmonte was.
Yeah, that's interesting that you say that, because that's exactly what the town manager said to me today. He said,
Yeah.
everyone thinks that
It's part of Rock
that Calmonte
Creek
is part of
because
Rock
it's
Creek, but it's
stuck in
not.
there, yeah. Yeah, no, that makes sense. So that is a little bit more houses than just, and with all, and so it's all of downtown Superior, so all of the multifamily and single-family homes? Okay, and commercial?
So commercial, I do not believe is a part of it. I believe it's
Okay.
just residential, but I can clarify that.
Okay.
I guess one additional consideration might be, I think the Girl Scout offering is fantastic, but if there is an option to do a fall leaf collection as well, that's more kind of large scale, that'd be great. And that's something we've talked about a lot in the past, but it's never worked out with our existing contract, so.
And I know that there's also been interest in like the large item, like
Oh, yeah, like a
once or
bulk
twice a
pickup.
year,
Oh, yeah.
bulk item pickup.
Yeah, and that one's a little bit more complicated just because there's been really large scale abuse of that in the past, so
Yeah.
we'd have to figure out, that's sort of beyond just the scope of the contract
Yeah.
itself, but.
Well, and I think bulk item pickup, even if it's that people are having to buy a ticket for their item,
Yeah.
it doesn't have to be free. So I think finding ways to limit it if needed, but
Yeah. Is there anyone on the committee who would like to do some additional research about what the other local communities are doing and kind of comparing our contract with others?
I mean, I'm happy to look at what we can find on neighboring communities. Karen, did I miss an email? Has this committee seen the current contract?
So the service details and contact information is under trash and recycling on the
Okay,
website.
cool.
Okay.
Okay.
Good to know. Cool, thanks. And then when do we have to have our official recommendations finalized by?
So I will double check with Martin on that. I do believe when I had this original conversation, when Martin asked me to make sure this got on the agenda, that he will be coming to a meeting to kind of work through the process with the committee.
Cool. Just want to make sure we don't accidentally miss a deadline, so.
No, so
that'd be
and this,
helpful.
like I said, he told me this was just a beginning into the process, and so we
Cool.
just needed to make sure we start the discussion, and then he will be coming to a meeting.
Excellent, thanks.
And I guess once the town does put out their solicitation or crafts it at least, I would say like our committee should recommend that that be shared with the HOAs, encouraging them to provide similar services.
Yes, make sure that gets added.
Yes.
Yeah, that's a great point.
I don't know if it's something that you guys want to include in your stuff, but something I've been pushing the town manager to do is work with the Rock Creek HOA to see if, I don't know exactly what timeline their waste contract is on, but seeing if at some point we can consolidate. That way we can actually take advantage of larger economies of scale to drive down some of these costs.
And I actually discussed that with him today, and the last contract that the HOA was under was a 20-year contract, and they just updated it in 2018.
No.
Oh, God.
They just updated it in 2018, and I believe what we both agreed on is that this new one that started in 2018 is 8 years.
Okay.
But I need to go back and clarify that. He did
Otherwise
say
our
that
children can take on
Exactly.
that's and I'm sure we could probably find that through the HOA documents online. But the town, we only do 4 and 5 year contracts. The new one that we're doing is a 5-year contract, so it's not something that's long term like that.
All right, so in 2026, we'll mark our calendars.
Yeah.
All right, any other comments on the waste contract? Or should we jump into the work plan? All right, work plan it is. So yeah, I'm just going to pull it up, and I think track changes is on. So I was thinking what we've typically done in the past is just go kind of line by line, see what we want to keep for 2020, what no longer makes sense, or if we want additional things to add in. And then I can write down those notes.
Yep, and just for timeline, just so you know, we do have an opportunity if we want to discuss it at the dinner meeting, we can do that there. And then it will go for submission. It won't go till final submission till one of the February meetings. So
Okay.
we will still have January to do any sort of finalizing.
But we do need quorum, right, in order to finalize it? That's
Yes.
correct? Okay.
So
Not too worried about that now,
everybody
but
better be here in January.
that has been a problem in the past. It was like June or July when I first
Yeah.
started, before we were finally
Yeah.
able to get our work plan officially approved. Okay, so let's run through this. And if we run out of time tonight, we can also exchange notes via email too. And I think that'd be a good thing to do anyway,
Yeah.
just to make sure that we don't miss anything. But ongoing, I expect most of this will be the same, but promoting residential and commercial energy audits and rebates. We're also doing that as part of the Partners of Energy program, so I think that's going to be something that's continually ongoing. I'm just going to read through. Feel free to interrupt me if you have any thoughts or want to discuss further. The Boulder County Household Hazardous Facility Use, promoting that. Recycling education for residents and businesses. That's something that we've been doing a reasonably good job on. I think there's still room for improvement, but promote the town's sustainability goals. I would actually suggest maybe we change this to promoting and helping to clarify the town's sustainability goals, because right now the goals are kind of high level and vague, and so I think if there's specific recommendations we could
Should
suggest.
I say like promote and advise town board on sustainability, or like advise town board on development and promotion of sustainability goals?
Yeah, or actually, maybe that's more of a like quarterly goal to clarify the goals
Yeah.
initially, and then promoting them as the ongoing goal.
Okay.
But
We can always promote them. I like the addition of advising the town board
yeah,
on, well, because promoting is generic, and
Yeah.
if one of our goals is to get the town to adopt something more specific, then that would go through the board, and we should be clear about that.
yeah. So promote the town's sustainability goals and advise the board. Oops.
Yeah, I
So
mean, we can
it's
put it in the quarters if you want to, but something about advising the board on,
Yeah.
Adopting
Seems like
more
a
specific
ongoing
Yeah.
thing.
yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
Okay. On, what did you say? Sorry.
I cannot remember.
We could change it to encourage the board to support the town's sustainability goals.
Well, on adopting more specific sustainability goals, right? On adopting specific
Yeah, on
sustainability goals?
like adopting and developing goals.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like we're constantly pushing this stuff, but it needs top-down leadership to push this
Yeah.
stuff. So I don't know how to put that in a PC way.
Well, maybe we could do something like promote town sustainability goals and keep those goals top of mind for the town board and work to keep them.
Well, it feels like am I wrong? It feels like the specific thing, one specific issue is that the goal right now is just support environmental sustainability, which it does mention water and energy conservation, but that we believe that they could adopt more specific goals above and beyond that. So like getting them to
Yeah.
adopt the goals in the first place is part of it.
More specific goals.
Yeah.
Which I think would be helpful. I think one of the things that I push forward is that how do you measure almost all those goals up there? They're so
Yeah.
generic
Yeah.
that it's, all right, great, we've got a point we're going towards, but how do I know if I'm actually successful in achieving any of those? So anything that you guys can provide up the chain that's specific, that's we can actually measure and get there, that's something that when we start this upcoming year, I'm trying to get those types of metrics for every one of those goals. So,
And I think that's where the sustainability scorecard comes in. I think that should be in first quarter as we get to it of, maybe we do set a metric of we're looking to reduce this metric by this amount by this year. So like coming up with something more concrete.
Yeah.
Could be something, so in Q1, maybe that is one of our like actions of like using the sustainability scorecard that's been developed, set, or recommend, town goals to whatever.
Yeah, great.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is sort of wordy, but is this
Yeah.
okay for now? Promote the town's sustainability goals and advise the board on adopting and developing more specific and ambitious goals going forward, along with metrics, that should be an S, by which those goals can be evaluated.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Sound
I like
okay?
it.
Cool. Evaluate and promote the use of town's recycling organics programs, if those exist.
Evaluate is a good.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's to, public comment, we don't
Yeah.
really have an organics program.
Yeah.
Right, exactly.
It's yard waste recycling.
Yeah.
I know that's technically organics, but not all organics.
Mhm.
Maybe it should be, because we know that the town waste contract is coming up in 2020, we could put something a little bit more specific of improve,
Like in the first quarter.
yeah,
that-
improve town's recycling and organics options, through modification of waste contract solicitation.
Waste.
Could you maybe dig into the town manager's comment about the 8-year contract for the HOA, I mean, most contracts have an out. And if the goals and the priorities of the client change over time, then usually you can develop the contract.
Yep.
It's just.
I've been scrolling through the HOA website while we've been talking, and I found that they approved the contract on September 15th of 2018, but they don't have it linked anywhere on their website. So we'll have to go to the HOA to actually see if they'll share that contract with us. So I assume any
I
HOA
think
member
so.
can actually request it. So, right.
And there's like currently they're changing management companies
Yeah.
for the HOA, so I'm sure there's some turnover and things like that happening.
All right, so updating website on environmental programs and education. Is there still, I guess there's always stuff we can do. That's sort of a good ongoing thing. Promoting and providing education around water conservation and xeriscaping. That's a good one. And I think if we can do more of those types of classes again to the WaterWise seminars, that'd be great.
Yeah.
Assemble monthly town newsletter articles. Is that something we still want?
We don't.
We're not really.
So we don't really do that as a committee. That's
Yeah.
just something that staff is including, right?
Right.
So
Yeah.
it's not necessarily something we need in our work plan.
No.
Okay.
Okay.
Cool. Promote use of the yard waste facility. Is that redundant with the item above?
Yeah, I think with that and the environmental programs, keeping that information updated and promoting the recycling and organics program, I think that is kind of.
All right, let's move this up. And we'll just delete that too.
I feel like every year our work plan gets less redundant. So good job, everyone.
Bike and alternative
Sustainable
transportation.
use of our
Yeah.
work plan
Exactly,
character.
yeah. Being efficient
Wherever
with
our
our.
word count.
Yeah. Biking, alternative transportation, education, that's something that's important. Okay, so jumping to the first quarter, using the sustainability scorecard, recommend us have more specific town sustainability goals. Recommend changes to the waste contract to promote new organics options for residents.
I think that one can get removed.
Wait, I haven't moved on the first quarter yet. I was still stuck on that last bullet.
Oh, sorry.
I mean, do we want to put something more around about supporting infrastructure to encourage biking and alternative transportation?
You're thinking about like
I'm thinking
bike
about the-
lanes, protected bike lanes and things
No,
like that?
well, yeah, there's that. You know, like 88 is a great example of where we don't have good bike lanes on one side of the road.
Which will be fixed next year.
Good. I mean, I think for the most part, the town does have good bike lanes, but.
But if we put in something
But
like.
charging infrastructure, and
Yeah.
it doesn't necessarily have to be for cars, it could be for e-bikes.
But, so we could put something in like, advise planning commission and town board on improving, infrastructure for bikes and alternative transportation.
I mean,
And so then that might make it though, where like when the planning commission is reviewing something, then we get asked for input. Because I think a lot of times it's like, if we don't know that it's coming up, we don't know to give input. And so if we put in our work plan that we're supposed to give input on this, then they should let us know in advance. Is that a fair?
Yeah, so how would you, sorry.
I don't know.
Well, I'm one of 7 people here, so it's just a thought, but if you guys want to massage it or put it in different words, feel free to do so.
Does this encapsulate most of that? If we change it to promote education and recommend infrastructure improvements regarding bikes, electric vehicles, and other alternative transportation? Oops, not education.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Does that make
think
it-
definitely by using the word promote, and to getting it out there, because it's just back to Caitlin, what Caitlin said, it's not just putting it on a piece of paper and then just everyone's supposed to know and then
Right.
they need to contact us. We as the committee have to advocate and make sure that the word is getting out to the planning commission and the town board.
Yeah.
And we also have to make sure that we remember that everything on our work plan has to relate back to the town board goals, you know, so
Yeah.
it's kind of a two-way thing.
That's true.
Yeah.
Should I copy these parentheticals? Do we have, what are our goals that our committee is? Like, certainly we
Well, I
have.
mean, the town board's goals just says support environmental sustainability, so that covers everything. we do.
Right, sort of, so, yeah.
Environmental sustainability in parentheses next to all of them.
More sustainability goals.
Going the wrong way in our word count on that one.
Right. Let's see, so. this one's-
And I don't know from a work plan perspective if you need that there.
Yeah.
If you want it there, by all means.
Yeah,
Doesn't feel like it
Yeah.
provides anything of value.
yeah.
Is it okay if we just delete all these parentheticals? I'm happy to do that later. We don't need to do that right now, but.
Absolutely.
Okay. Hopefully it's clear how these all relate to
Yes.
sustainability, and if not, then we've got some larger problems to deal with.
Yeah,
So.
okay.
Okay, so researching methods to address construction and demolition materials from new development in Superior.
I think we may have missed the boat on this one,
That's
possibly.
kind of my feeling, unfortunately.
So I think it's maybe not a good use of
All right.
paper or time.
Or limited attention.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's only so much we can do, and yeah.
That one is done.
Yep. Hooray.
Yay.
Coordinate with staff to confirm compliance for all new development in Superior with existing energy and recycling code requirements.
So they're already doing that, just as, I mean, like, that happens. Okay.
All right, so we're okay deleting this one as well?
I think so.
Gather data for comparison benchmarking with neighboring communities.
Mike has done that.
Yeah. Although, do we want to have something that's a little bit broader than just the scorecard too, to have sort of ongoing data collection? And certainly we want to use the scorecard a lot, but is there other type of data collection that we want to do to support other goals? I guess those would also be tied in with other things, so I don't know that we need a separate item necessarily.
Yeah. I'm not aware of, I mean, it'd be great if there are
Maybe-
other things. I just don't know.
Yeah, maybe in the ongoing, we need to put like maintaining the sustainability scorecard.
That's true. And any other data needed.
Yes.
Something
Yeah.
like that.
And collect other data as
I
needed.
think it's complete. We should
Yeah.
address it with the group.
Yes. So since we're on the topic of sustainability scorecard,
Oh, yeah.
we could look at that sustainability scorecard, and Mike can suggest any things that he thinks we should review before the end of the year here.
Yeah. Can we do that now, or should
We
we go?
embedded it into this action agenda
Oh, it's
item.
embedded. Okay,
Yeah.
you guys,
We
good job.
Snuck it in. So since we're on the topic,
Well, do you have the PowerPoint file or the?
Is it
whatever it was?
PowerPoint? Okay, yeah, I was trying to remember which one it was.
Yeah, I mean, I updated some of these, just to refresh everyone's memory, right? The intent is to monitor our performance on key metrics that measure sustainability in our town. And we've been through a few iterations throughout the year. We shared with the board a while ago and got some feedback. That feedback's been incorporated almost entirely. Most of the data which can be updated has been updated. So it's all here. It's 3 pages now of data, of charts, of 9 different charts. And sadly in 2019, we continue to be out of compliance with EPA standards for ozone pollution, which we have been for at least 10 years. I mean, it's that the whole region has. And you're welcome to look at the rest of the data here. I think most of it we've seen before. Some of it's been updated a bit. We'll be able to get the full EV numbers from the county probably after the year concludes. So welcome any additions there. The big thing that's the gap is the recommendation was for us to include suggestions on actions people could take to improve their, from an individual point of view, improve performance on these metrics. So I think that's what we're going to put here. I know I had previously said we should also have include something that we'd recommend the town do, which I still believe in. My thinking is maybe we don't need to put that on the scorecard, but we work directly with the town board on other recommendations. And so this is just blank right now because the content of this is in that separate Google Doc under each of those headings.
I suggest that we clarify the title to say something like opportunities for individuals to help improve sustainability. Just to make
Yeah.
it clear what
Sure.
Opportunities for you to.
You.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
And then I see in the last several hours of the day, several of you made comments in here and added things. So we could, we'll try to go efficiently here and just share a couple of what these are and open it up for input and then decide what to do next. But, we have these 6 categories. One is climate and greenhouse gas emissions. So we've got points about driving, about gas use in your home, which I'm happy to talk more about forever, about lawn equipment, planting a tree, installing solar panels, or buying renewable energy through Excel, and then about your food choices, being local and avoiding red meat. And so these are, energy, we get things about getting the home energy assessments. We have, again, here's solar. We can maybe eliminate redundancy through some of these. Participating in some Excel programs, using your thermostat and water heater differently, some general efficiency things around cracks, gaps, leaks, LEDs, and Energy Star appliances. Water, we've got the low flow shower heads and landscaping, low water landscaping, the Waterwise workshop, choosing the right appliances and irrigation controllers. Air quality, especially ozone focus, we've got, again, electric lawn equipment, which actually has a pretty significant impact on local air quality, so I feel like that one goes here. Avoid driving or switch to other modes of transport. Electric vehicles, again, is listed there. Mobility, we have, again, electric vehicle, carpool, basically all the many other modes of transport. There's also one about home delivery choices. For waste, we have curbside compost, and then some choices about purchasing related to packaging and buying bulk and use reusable bags. So we have a good amount of content that feels great. If there's any, here's what I suggest. If there's any burning comments about additions, let's hear them now. Otherwise, we can also take them later electronically.
I saw 2.
Yeah.
Under water, you can also add low flow toilets or pressure assist toilets.
Yeah. Here,
To that
why
first
don't I,
line.
since
And
I
the
have-
town actually offers $75 rebates for those too.
Yeah, and so
Yeah.
that's in the when replacing appliances, choose a water conserving product with the water efficiency rebate program includes shower heads and toilets in that water
So
efficiency
you can
rebate
combine the
program.
bullets.
So we can maybe combine
Like put them in
those.
parentheses, those
Yeah.
examples.
I think it'd be good to specifically highlight what products are covered.
Yeah, the water
that'd be good.
efficiency rebate program.
Yeah.
Okay, I've got this up on my screen, so I see you're in it too, but I'm gonna type that.
Yeah, I'll let you.
Such as
All the things.
low flow shower heads and faucets and what's the right
Could you-
term for the toilets?
It's a,
Low water toilets or something?
well, the PC term in the industry is a high efficiency toilet or a high efficiency aerator because people freak out when they hear low flow.
But it's probably also worth taking a look at the water efficiency rebate program and just mentioning
Yeah.
all those.
I think it's it's
Dishwasher,
dishwasher, washing
washing
machine,
machine, yeah.
sprinkler
Yeah.
heads. Did it say that?
And
in there
irrigation
already?
controllers. So we can combine a couple, like 3 of these bullets into just one.
Okay,
Basically do all the things.
Yeah.
do all the things.
Yeah,
That's all.
utilize the water efficiency rebate program.
Yeah.
Including.
Get money off your utility bill.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Um,
They are maxed out for the year right now. So people have been using it.
I don't think people realize you can get a new toilet for $25.
Yeah.
But wait till next year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Resource Center in Boulder sells the pressure assist 0.8 gallon per flush toilets for $100.
Yeah.
And with the $75 rebate, it's $25. It's a good looking toilet.
You can also
It's
get a
elongated.
free
It's not a
smart-
cheap looking thing.
Yeah.
It's
You can get a
elongated.
free smart irrigation controller. I did that.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
So I think there's definitely some educational things.
Yeah.
Under energy, I was going to recommend whole house fans. Or attic fans, however you want to refer to them as.
Oops. So I had a question on this one. So I would actually suggest that we move solar panels or renewable energy up into the climate change mitigation because it's more about emissions reductions than about energy efficiency.
Yeah.
Well,
So-
the only thing is in the scorecard, under the energy category, we've got renewable energy listed in
Yeah.
the energy
That's true.
category.
That's
So for
true.
consistent, that's
Yeah.
my rationale is that it
So
would be more
things that
thematically
tie to the
consistent.
metric in that category, such as, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Um,
So in that case, I would suggest moving them out of the climate, like these two bullets.
Yeah, so we'll move solar and renewable energy,
Yeah.
personal decisions into energy. Okay, I'll move these two and then consolidate.
I also had a suggestion as well that we use different terminology rather than hybrid electric water heater. Because I assume you were talking about heat pump water heater.
Yeah,
So
I mean, the
just-
brands, like Home Depot and Rheem, and they market them as hybrid, not as
Yeah,
heat pump.
but there are also some hybrid like gas water heaters that are totally different and some other ones. So I've seen hybrid used in different ways in marketing contexts. So I think,
I'm gonna say heat pump.
or a hybrid heat pump water heater we could do. I think having the heat pump in there is useful just to clarify exactly what we're talking about.
Use all the terms.
Yeah. If we're doing electrification stuff, we could also talk about induction ranges versus gas.
Great.
I feel like between that and food, we'll piss off all sorts of people. But,
You should be a vegetarian.
right.
Don't tell me how to live my life.
Yeah. Here's how to cook your food and what you should be eating. I think those were the only comments I had. Oh, I guess the other thing was where we should put electric vehicles, since those could fall under climate or mobility or energy or.
So
Air
because
quality.
they're
Air quality.
measured in the mobility, that's.
Yeah, we should
that
definitely put
would
them in
be where-
mobility, although they're so relevant to the air quality thing. I think it's
Yeah.
worth listing
Yeah.
twice. Because, the vehicles are such a major contributor to those on pollution
Mhm.
that I would advocate including it twice. But I can move it from wherever else it is. We don't need it 3 places.
Yeah.
Well, so maybe on a similar note, in the climate section, we could also have a bullet about, make energy improvements, see next section,
Yeah.
just to highlight the relationship between those.
Okay, so I'm gonna add a note in the notes that Mike will review the full list to remove duplicates and ensure that the actions tie to the metrics in each category.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Okay, and then as far as what to do with this, I think what we've said we want to do is finalize this and then go back to the board. And I think what we're asking the board for when we go back to them is just endorsements. There's not really an action they need to take.
And do they need to approve us putting it on the website and publicizing it, or can it just go, okay, cool.
If,
Okay. Yeah.
the easiest way to do it, I think, is if you amend it to your notes and then those get approved by the board and then it can get put on the website.
But, and could it be something that on our committee page, it's a direct link to Town of Superior Sustainability Scorecard? Okay, okay.
Cool.
That's great. And then in that case, maybe that's really what we're doing. And then I feel like it's still great to go to the board, but
Yeah.
maybe in that case, we're not asking for endorsement so much as just presenting information to them. Yeah.
I think that'd be a
I think
nicer approach.
asking
still
them,
ask for
can you
input,
help
but-
promote this and.
Promotion, yeah.
Yeah.
but it's not about just asking for permission to put it on the website at that point, yeah.
And so we'll have the final information on the like EBU registrations in January. So then we should have
That's
all
what I
the data.
expect, yeah, because we'll want to see like the full calendar year of data.
Okay,
probably.
so we'll want to get on a town council agenda for January, February.
So that brings up an awesome opportunity for me to let you all know that in moving forward, we are going away with the committee town board dinners. But every agenda moving forward will have committee update. So we don't have to request to get on. We're just, you just let me know, I let the town manager know. It's just a part of the agenda moving forward.
So all we have to do is show up.
Yep.
I think awesome. That's fantastic.
Yep.
Thanks
And
for doing
if there's any supporting document, of course, there is the deadline
Sure.
to get that stuff in the packet for the board members. So we'll want to make sure that it's 2 weeks out from the actual board meeting.
And in terms of wanting to respect the board's time, are there time limits associated with those, or?
There's 30 minutes that is put for all committees. So like if all 6 committees want to show up, there's 30 minutes.
You each get 5.
We'll just add a nice 3 hours onto your meetings.
No, 30 minutes.
Okay.
And one thing that that I can do also once we get this into a final form is I'm our town representative on the Boulder County Consortium of Cities group. So all of the municipalities within Boulder County get together, and this is certainly something that we can distribute to the other municipalities and say, hey, we're taking this step to try to track what we're doing, and something for you all to consider as well. So we can have that multiplier effect.
Yeah, I'd appreciate that. And just for your information, in addition, I've been speaking with Leah Yancey at the County Sustainability Office,
Great.
who's already asking for the final version so that she can share it with the other communities as well.
Nice.
Fantastic.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So it sounds like maybe the final thing to do is just to do a final review in the January meeting and just officially approve it, since that's when we'll have all the official data to make it completely final.
Yeah.
All right, cool.
Sounds good.
Okay.
I'll try. I may have to set you guys up by email in advance because I anticipate having a tiny child at that time. So I may not be able to make it.
Excellent.
Yeah.
All right. So
Back to work plan.
my suggestion would be that everyone, because I know it's getting late and people are getting antsy. So my suggestion would be that everyone takes a look at the work plan. And would it be okay if I convert this into a Google Doc so that we can track changes from everyone as long as it's shared with everyone?
That was exactly what I was just thinking. And just make sure it's shared through the ACES group email. That's how you send it out, so that it's for public record.
Okay. Actually, would you be able to save this and send this to me, and then I'll convert it and send it around to everyone?
Yep, and you can just save right there because that where it's sitting is in that file on the town public drive.
Okay. Yeah, so if you want to send that to me, I'll convert it into Google Docs and then share it with everyone.
Okay.
And then if you want to go in and just make comments or suggest changes, just make sure you're suggesting changes rather than just making them so we can track everything. Yeah. And then we'll go ahead and discuss it. When does this have to be completely finalized again? I know you said that earlier.
So at the January meeting, we'll want it to be finalized.
Okay. So that sounds good. So we can discuss it over email and then also discuss over dinner for the December meeting. Okay. Well, with that, we can call it a night.
Well, and just as far as talking about the dinner meeting for next week, I'll send out an email, or for December, I'll send out an email, and you guys can respond with selections. I know last year we went to Brunelleschi's, which is open again, or there's other town restaurants. So we'll kind of do that via email and make that decision. And then we'll still put the agenda together and post it the same way.
Okay, great. Well, thanks so much, everyone.
So is that, so the next meeting, we're meeting at the restaurant?
Yes.
5:30 to 7? And then how are we gonna finalize the location? And then you just threw out some different
Via
options.
email.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
Just make sure you capture that in the notes.
Okay.
Got it. Okay, cool.
meeting adjourned. Thank you all so much.
Are you guys going tomorrow night to the appreciation dinner?
I am not.
I think I am. Barring a toddler meltdown, I should be there.